Wagwan. Good morning, good night, welcome back. And if you're listening for the first time, I'm your host, Melanie Byfield, welcoming you to episode 28 of The Real Situation, where we give you a taste of Jamaican politics. Baby, we've got a date. We got two, actually. Nomination Day is August 18, and the general election is September 3. So what happens on Nomination Day? It's the day when candidates who are going to be contesting the election in each electoral division are officially named. A nomination date has to, just a little bit of extra information, it has to fall on a day which is at least 16 but no more than 23 days before election day, and at least a clear 5 days after the announcement of an election. Nominations for by-elections are also going to take place the same day as the general election, and that will be for 4 divisions in the Kingston and St Andrew Municipal Corporation, which are Chancery Hall, Olympic Gardens, Seavright Gardens and Denham Town. So some information from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. So there's 6 things here, according to some information from the Director of Elections, who's a guy called Glas Paul Brown. Number 1, there'll be 1 nomination centre in each of the 63 constituencies for the general election. Number 2, for the general election, the potential candidates have to be nominated by 10 people who live in their constituency, who are registered on the voters list. And they have to pay a nomination fee of 15,000 Jamaican dollars. That's about $100. And for the by-election, the nomination fee is 3,000 Jamaican dollars, which is about $20. Number 3. So before nomination day, each candidate has a returning officer who sits with them, works out a schedule, assigns them a time for when they're expected at the nomination centre, and just make sure that basically everything's in check, that they're qualified to run as a candidate. Number 4, any person seeking to enter as a candidate to sit in the House of Representatives has to be a citizen of Jamaica, be resident in Jamaica for at least 12 months prior to the date of nomination, or be a Commonwealth citizen who's resided in Jamaica for at least 12 months prior to the nomination date, and must be at least 21 years of age. That whole Commonwealth thing is what the constitutional reform is trying to rightly remove as well. Number 5, for the by-elections, candidates should live in the division for at least 12 months prior to election day, and shouldn't have any contractual agreement with any member of the local authority involving the payment of money or land for their candidacy. And then number 6, a candidate will not be eligible to be elected if they are under 18, hold a public office, is a member of the JDF, the Jamaica Defence Force, or has been declared bankrupt. So we mentioned Seavright Gardens, right? One of the 4 divisions in the Kingston and St Andrew Municipal Council, where there would be a by-election held, but there's actually a potential legal challenge to that. Mayor Andrew Swaby of Kingston and St Andrew said basically that he doesn't have a resignation letter from the sitting councillor, JLP's Delroy Williams, and Delroy Williams has actually been put forward as the candidate for Clarendon Central, where he will replace Lester Mike Henry, who held the seat for more than 30 years. So while nomination day is August 18, as of right now, that appears to be an issue in Seavright Gardens. So turning to the general election, in keeping with Section 61 of the Constitution, the Governor-General dissolved Parliament on Friday, August 15, by proclamation, following the announcement by the Prime Minister at a JLP rally in Halfway Tree in Kingston, on Sunday, August 10, that the general election will be held on Wednesday, September 3. Once Parliament is dissolved, all seats in the House of Representatives and the Senate become vacant. Any pending bills, motions, and any other unfinished business before the Houses will lapse, including the Constitutional Reform Bill. During this period, the PM, the office of the opposition leader, all cabinet ministers, Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate will continue to serve in their official capacity until a new government is appointed by the Governor-General following the election. So according to the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, there are 4 registered political parties. The Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, who are the current governing party, the People's National Party, PNP, who are the opposition party, the Jamaica Progressive Party, JPP, who recently joined forces with the Jamaica First Movement Party, and United Independent Congress, the UIC. So a little bit about what these parties are about, their ideology. So the Jamaica Labour Party, their ideology is conservatism. Basically, conservatives seek to promote and preserve a range of institutions like the nuclear family, organized religion, the military, the nation-state, property rights, rule of law, aristocracy, and monarchy. Then we have the People's National Party. They are a democratic, social democrats, basically. They tend to maintain a commitment to representative and participatory democracy. The common aim includes curbing inequality, eliminating the oppression of underprivileged groups, eradicating poverty, upholding university accessible public services such as childcare, education, elderly care, healthcare, and workers' compensation. Economically, social democrats support income redistribution and regulating the economy in the public interest. And social democrats also support are supporters of a welfare state, right? UIC are libertarians. Libertarianism is a political philosophy that holds freedom, personal sovereignty, and liberty as primary values. Many libertarians believe that the concept of freedom is in accord with the principle that each individual has the right to live as they choose, as long as they don't violate the rights of others by initiating force or fraud against them. And then you have the now combined JPP and JFM. I don't have what their ideology is, but they did make a statement that this is not about creating another party for retaining power. This is about patriots from all walks of life putting their differences aside for 5 years to do one job: repair the foundation of this nation and set new paradigms for our children. What happens after that 5 years is not clear. I didn't see anything on that. If you have any information on the ideology of the JPP and the JFM and what they intend to do after that 5-year period is up, link me. Okay, so who is saying what so far on the campaign trail? The JLP don't have a manifesto as yet, but there is a document of achievements in circulation, but I haven't seen it. Their website says, building something exciting, please check back, coming soon. The People's National Party, PNP, have released a manifesto. The mission is called, their mission is called Jamaica Love, and it has 8 pillars for building a new Jamaica. Now, the Jamaica Love is an acronym for those pillars, right? So the J is for justice for all, and it includes constitutional reform, legal and legislative reform, and access to justice and services. I'm going to read you a little bit about the constitutional reform for sovereignty and justice. It says, we will pursue constitutional amendments through a transparent and participatory process that engages all stakeholders from the ground up. This includes engaging with civil society groups, the churches, the business sector, trade unions, and other non-governmental actors in the design and rollout of the consultation process. Hosting public forums for Jamaicans to debate and recommend constitutional changes, implementing school and community outreach programs, launching broad public education and awareness campaigns. Key reforms include replacing the British monarchy with a Jamaican president chosen by and accountable to the people, making the Caribbean Court of Justice Jamaica's final appellate court, replacing the United Kingdom Privy Council, and ensuring access to justice at the highest level for all Jamaicans, strengthening parliamentary accountability through impeachment and recall procedures, and having committees chaired by opposition representatives, consideration of fixed election dates and term limits, and expanding the Senate to broaden representation to include the diaspora, persons with disabilities, and the Rastafari and Maroon communities. Stick a pin right there. TVJ, all angles. Dion Jackson Miller asked how the constitutional reform and the CCJ, a move to the CCJ would be accomplished, as you can't do it without the support of one opposition minister. Now, she was asking this question, she was posing this question to Senator Donna Scott Motley. And her response was, we would have a discussion and engage the opposition about their concerns. We would talk it through. We were never able to gain an understanding of why they were so resolute against the Caribbean Court of Justice. In 2015, when the bill was tabled for the CCJ to be our final court of appeal, there was the matter of the undated letters of resignation. The Prime Minister went to lengths, he was in the opposition at the time, to ensure no senator would feel free enough to give us that one vote to make that outcome become a reality, and it was struck down. I'm confident that we will get that one vote. I know the views, and I think Mr. Holness knew the views then, which is what propelled him into having those undated letters of resignation crafted regarding Arthur Williams and Christopher Tufton. Now, Arthur Williams actually sued, and Andrew Holden filed an appeal. Andrew Holness filed an appeal. The full court was correct. The holding was, Arthur Williams sued. Andrew Holness had appealed, and the holding following the appeal was, the full court was correct in finding that the demand for pre-signed letters of resignation was unconstitutional and invalid. Similarly, the use of those letters without the consent of the persons who had signed them was also invalid. Consequently, the letters of resignation that were delivered to the Governor-General by Mr. Holness in respect of Mr. Williams are invalid and ineffective. The appeal by Mr. Holness should be dismissed. Okay, so that was the J in Jamaica Love. Moving on to the A. Access to quality education. Early childhood education, primary and secondary education, tertiary and vocational access, support for teachers, health and nutrition. The M is modern infrastructure, energy, power for the people, water and sustainable living, making every drop count, roads and transportation, connecting people, products and places, etc. I'm not going to read all of these, but anyway, that was the J and the A. The M is modern infrastructure. The A is agriculture and food security. The I is innovation and industry. I am actually going to link the manifesto to the podcast page, so you could take a look at the full manifesto. We're going to be talking about it more, but just to give you an idea of the overview. The I is for innovation and industry. C, care for the vulnerable and health services. A is for accountability in governance. I am going to go into this a little bit more, though. Strengthening democracy and oversight. So some of the points they make are: restore the office of the political ombudsman as an independent watchdog separate from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. Ensure the independence and effectiveness of the Integrity Commission to enable it to pursue its statutory mandate without fear or favour, including desirable improvements such as the modification of the gag clause, to achieve a workable balance between protecting legitimate reputational rights and ensuring timely disclosure in the public interest. Strengthen the oversight committees in Parliament, including by enacting mechanisms to facilitate the participation of civil society and other non-state actors in the work of these committees. Modernise the Access to Information Act to implement simpler processes, shorter timelines and a broader scope to facilitate the flow of information to the public. Modernise the legal framework for obtaining permits and licenses to ensure efficiency, fairness and transparency. Increase the monetary jurisdiction of parish courts so that Jamaicans can access justice that is affordable and closer to home. And hold public dialogue on the National Sex Offender Registry to ensure balance between public safety and rehabilitation. So also under accountability and governance. So that was strengthening democracy and oversight. There is also constitutional reform for sovereignty and justice, which mentions engaging the diaspora in constitutional reform and encouraging their participation on public boards. There is government efficiency and service delivery, foreign policy and regional affairs, information and public communication, and local government reform. I mean, it's nice to see this one here, to be honest. And some of the points it makes under that is build on the constitutional amendment passed in 2015 to guarantee local democracy, review the Local Governance Act and Local Government Financing and Financial Management Act, and the Local Government Unified Service and Employment Act, with a view to making any necessary adjustments, followed by full enforcement of their provisions. Empower parish development committees and community development committees to co-create local plans. Shift focus from constituency politics to community development by expanding the powers of municipal corporations. Establish a National People's Assembly, including diaspora representatives to review laws and shape policy impacting local communities. Introduce participatory budgetary and local planning where citizens help to decide spending priorities, and create stronger accountability measures for local government, linking funding to measurable performance. So we had J, A, M, A, I, C, A. Now we move on to the L for OVE for love. L, land, housing and ownership. O, opportunity for youth. V, violence prevention and safer communities. And E, environmental resilience. And again, I will be posting, I will be linking the manifesto to the podcast page so you can see more information until we talk about it more in its entirety. So there will be debates taking place. The Jamaica Debates Commission confirmed that 90-minute live debates will be streamed online. The debate dates have been set for Saturday, August 23rd, and that will be regarding social issues. They each have a topic. The topic will be social issues. Tuesday, August 26th, the topic is the economy. And Thursday, August 28th, the leaders will debate. Yes, that's going to be exciting. Right, so the debates will be staged at the Creative Production and Training Centre in Kingston, and will be broadcast live on radio and television across the country, and will also be streamed on websites and via social media. Representatives of the PNP and JLP have confirmed the debate dates. The first and second debates will each feature 3-person teams, and all 3 debates will last for 90 minutes. So, on the TV, Jay All-Angle show that Dion Jackson Miller hosted, that we were talking about a little while ago, she gave some comments about the diaspora that I didn't agree with. Senator Donna Scott Motley, however, responded very eloquently, and I'll read you how she responded, how it went. So Dion Jackson Miller, she said, in relation to the proposal to amend the Senate, which was in the manifesto, why do Jamaican politicians have this obsession with bringing into our parliament people who don't live here to make our laws? And I'm clearly speaking here about the diaspora. They don't live here. Why should they be making laws for a country they don't live in? So Donna Scott Motley responded, they can bring a very important perspective. Do they have to live here? It's a fair question. But they also contribute a lot to Jamaica developmentally, not just financially, because every time you hear about the diaspora, you hear, oh, they give so much money, and our remittances are one of the pillars of the economy. But they give a lot of advice. They consult with us on different matters. Some of them are the best of our people who have migrated and are wedded generationally to Jamaica. When we speak to them, persons who are in the 3rd generation consider themselves Jamaican. I think that they should have a stake in the country and in terms of this legislation. Thank you, Donna Scott Motley. A bit of added information regarding that topic of how people feel about the diaspora. The colonial class structure in Jamaica, characterized by a racial hierarchy, was intertwined with the migration pattern shaped by slavery and indentured servitude. The British colonizers actively used divide and conquer strategies, exacerbating racial and social divisions to maintain power and control over the population. These historical dynamics have had a lasting impact on Jamaican society and race relations, and they continue. That is a divide and conquer action by the former colony of Britain, and it continues in the way that people view the diaspora today. I obviously have an issue with it. I'm second generation Jamaican. I have a big issue with it, and I absolutely, like I said, I disagree with the stance that Dion Jackson Miller takes in that respect. Love her still, but I heavily disagree with that attitude towards the diaspora, who are Jamaicans, right? Okay. So, the question, will you be voting on September 3? In her recent podcast, Dion Jackson Miller, which was called This Is Why You Have to Vote, she recently gave 3 reasons why you should vote, with which I do agree. One thing she did mention was that in 2016 is when voter participation first started dropping below 50%, coming from being as high as 86% in 1980. 2020 was 38%. Literally 1 person in every 5 voted for the party that then went on to form the government. So these are the 3 reasons why Dion and me think that it's important to vote. Number 1, Dion says, because you can. She feels the weight of her ancestors. Jamaica didn't get universal suffrage until 1944. That's when all adults of voting age could vote, regardless of whether they were man, woman, or had property, which was previously used to stop people from voting. She said she grew up in St. Thomas and thinks that, she thinks about Paul Bogle and the Morant Bay Rebellion of 1865, where people had no vote. There was no way to try and influence the people governing them other than to protest and rebel. That desperate walk to Spanish Town that was taken only to be turned back. She lived in Mobay for 10 years, so she thinks of Sam Sharp and the Christmas Rebellion. Our enslaved ancestors never had a vote. She thinks of South Africa and the long lines people stood in for hours when apartheid was finally demolished and people could walk into a polling booth for the first time and vote for a black president, Nelson Mandela. She thinks of the female suffragettes in Britain who had to fight for the right to vote. They were locked up, they went on hunger strikes, and they were arrested because at that time in the UK, women didn't have the right to vote. So she said, when I think how myself as a woman, a black person in a free Jamaica where I can walk into a polling booth and vote for whoever I want, it's very meaningful and it's difficult to conceive not voting. Number 2, voting is power. It's how the government is chosen. It gives us a say in the country, how it's run. She thinks we don't lean into that power enough. And then the 3rd reason is voting plus holding politicians to account. It can be as simple as writing to the local media or posting on social media, or get more involved with groups, form groups, community groups, church groups, citizen association groups. Asking for updates from members of parliament. Questions can also be sent to the MP's online portal. Every MP is supposed to have a website. People, today is the Earth Strong of the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the first national hero of Jamaica. Yes, the date is August 17. And I'm going to leave you with his words. I had a motive and a purpose. It wasn't the money, because I could have gotten that for myself and been satisfied. It wasn't the position, because I could have got that for myself. What is it? It was the crying voice from the grave that said, Garvey, we have suffered for 250 years for your day and for your time. We expect something from you at this hour. The journey continues. The bill no dead. It's in a politically induced coma, waiting for the winner of the election to determine its fate. Yes, the journey continues. And I'm still confident this journey will end with Jamaica becoming a republic, a truly, fully independent and sovereign Jamaica, land we love. You can find this podcast on YouTube, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Podcast Index, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Apple, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. And if you want to reason about anything or you can't find any of the material I was talking about, you can email me at atasteofja@outlook.com. Until the next time, thank you for supporting this podcast. Please subscribe, like, follow, and share it with friends and family. And again, I thank you for taking the time to listen. One love. Yes, the word is love.